G'day, welcome to Deep and Meaningfuls with Furzey. On this episode of the pod, I'm chatting with Jeffrey Morgan. Jeff's story is wild. He has spent 20 years of his life in prison for robbing banks. He since has completely transformed who he is and what he does in the world, and now teaches other people how to do the same. He's a mindset coach. Before doing this podcast, he just came from a seminar with the Gold Coast Titans. He works with all kinds of people and companies and brands. It's fascinating. He's a true story of transformation, and the place that he's come from to the place that he is today is astounding. Jeff is Aboriginal, and he shared some knowledge about the Aboriginal culture, which I'm, to be honest, completely ignorant about. So it was really interesting for me to learn about that. We talk about his upbringing and living on the street and how he got to the point where he was living a life of crime. We talk a bit about what it's actually like to rob a bank, what was going through his mind at the time, how he got caught, and we talk a bit about what it's like to live in prison. So Jeff's consciousness shift happened while he was in prison, and he was even able to shift the mindset of a lot of his fellow prisoners to make it a more harmonious place. It's amazing. You can expect to learn a lot of tools for growth in this podcast. That's Jeff's mission. That's what he's doing now with his life, and he's doing really well at it. I've never met someone like Jeff who's been through what Jeff has been through. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Jeffrey Morgan. Hey, look, man, that's a real problem with singers in general. Like, yeah, man, it's something that I think as a singer you learn how to manage that, but that's like losing your voice is a constant fear.
I'd have to be like deepen the voice a bit or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like after I've done a big gig, the next day, my voice is always, it's tired, but my speaking voice sounds real thick. Because my vocal cords are a little bit inflamed, you know. So
100%.
if I do a bit of voiceover work too, so I'm always like, if I've had a big night or, you know, a big gig, the next day is the perfect day because I sound much more masculine than I normally do.
Love that.
So we book the voiceovers after the gigs.
I love that. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Jeff, mate, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're doing it. We're rolling.
Let's roll.
Yeah. Fly in, fly out. Let's go.
That's it. Just land on the GC and straight into this, that and the other. And all of a sudden I'm in your house and we're here and about to share some gold nuggets or gold mine, and people can take some stuff away if they like to and keep walking if they don't. Yeah. So you have had a pretty interesting ride thus far. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. I love that. So it's I do want to say, and it will give context to people, you don't have to have gone through what I've gone through to be where I am today, or have, you know, connect during this podcast. I suppose one thing, a lot of people, I haven't been through that, but most people are prisoners of their own mindset, and today's podcast is going to give you opportunity after opportunity, go from unconscious to conscious, create awareness around how you're operating and how you can shift and change out of that.
Prisoners of your own mindset. That's profound, man. I think that is something that is even difficult to come to terms with, that's real. To know that looking at yourself, holding up a mirror and going, when you see things that you do and ways that you behave, yourself, myself, and observing that and going, I don't like that I'm doing that.
Absolutely.
And the ego then kicks in and says, no, you're fine. You've done nothing wrong. There's nothing that you're doing is wrong.
Absolutely.
Everything's fine. And there's this battle. And sometimes the ego wins.
Absolutely.
And tells you, and so you just keep doing the same shit.
And the chaos just plays out and you roll with that chaos. And I call it wearing a mask every single day. I was a bank robber, for those that don't know, and give a bit of context to this story. And we used to wear a mask to hide our identity, and a lot of people would do that every single day when they wake up in the morning. They put on this mask and go out to the world, and someone asks you how you're travelling. Oh, it's good, Jono, and all's good, Marky. And the reality is a lot of people, as I said, have got the shackles of life holding them back from the life they truly want. And as long as they don't become conscious through a conversation like today. I'll give you some tools, tips, strategies, whatever you want to call them, to take into your life. You'll always operate from the same space. And if that's the space where you sit within your own prison, well, today's your chance and opportunity. My biggest thing, my grandmother taught me, listen and learn. I didn't do that. It cost me 20 years of my life in custody, both juvenile justice and corrections, both in New South Wales and Victoria. My last sentence was 2003. I finished 2010 for a bank robbery down there. And I turned my life around at that point in time, but I had to have a deep dive on myself. So today, have a deep dive on yourself. Start to grab a pen, grab a paper and say, what can I learn from this conversation? Learn and earn, and take it away and apply it into your own life so you can break those shackles free and go and live the life you should be.
Every day's a school day, bro.
Love that. Go back to school. Love that.
Man, so that's, wow, there's a lot in that. Okay, so I'd love to go back and just kind of learn about you as a young lad and learn about how you got to where you are. But I just wanted to say something about what we're talking about, these patterns of behavior.
Absolutely.
And how it relates to childhood upbringing, childhood trauma, and why these things are so hard to transcend as we become an adult. Like you get this programming from your formative years as a little kid and how you exist in the world that you live in.
Absolutely.
And what you learn to do in order to survive. And if that is I'm a firm believer that nurture is far more powerful than your inherent nature. Now, I do believe that there are some people that are just a bad egg and there's something wrong.
Yep.
But I think that is few and far between. I think most people,
guarantee. Absolutely guarantee. I've sat with people in jail for 20 years, in and out, and to sit across from some of those that were deemed the worst within society, there is a small percentage that are just way out there. And even I had to, playing chess with those people, you don't know how that would end if you take checkmate. Wow. That's the reality of that conversation. Pretty crazy. But then probably 98% of those people are just people surviving. And as you said, someone's listening now going, I was never in jail, so this isn't relevant to me. You're just surviving and you're in a jail out here. So people might think my story of 20 years is crazy. What's crazy is that we sit within that prison and we're free to do what we want, when we want, with whoever we want. But those formative years of those experiences of life have held us back. And that's where we get stuck within this world and say, I wish I could do more. One of the biggest things, as that example, my childhood, I only read a letter yesterday that I'd never read before in my life. And it was sent to somebody, my solicitor. So I come home in 2010, I make this decision to never go back to jail. 2012, I have old mates touch base with myself. I'm knocking them back. I'm not going to make that decision. I made a better choice in life. I wish you all the best. They show up at my work and I go out for one day, get involved in some crimes, and I'm back before the courts. And I just read a letter yesterday and I'd never ever known this. My partner actually found it in emails that was shared between people. I don't even know how she found it, because that would have been old emails that don't or no longer exist. Yeah. But it said that my father had been through a lot of trauma. He was beaten by his school teacher and the local priest, and I don't know if anything ever happened to him that he might not have ever expressed. He was a very tough, staunch type of man. So if it had, as a kid, on a abuse level, I don't think he would have spoken about it. But I know she said, as her sister, it was my dad's sister. And I'd read this letter, or my partner read it to me, and it blew me away because I'd never known this about my father. And he was abused as a kid physically by his own father, abused by the school, abused by the priest physically. And I just think, for me, it rolled off straight into myself. And straight into myself meant that he tried his best to keep me out of the environment. We grew up in a tough area. Crime was normal. Our MIN number was more important than our tax file number. Our MIN number is at 212788. That's my prison number in New South Wales that I'll never ever forget. No matter how, I've been home 14 years and it's etched in my memory. You have to read that out, tell people constantly throughout your sentencing. So 20 years of that, you never forget it. But I look back at and reading that story, and I had tears in my eyes yesterday, and it was the first time I'd ever, because I've spoken about my father on many podcasts, but I always said that, no doubt he went through it, and now neuroscience and the data behind this shows that it can be passed on through DNA. So those behaviours that his father, and no doubt his father, passed on, I got to a point where I was exactly that, violent, and Redfern was all of that. It was one of Australia's most notorious streets. Context-wise,
you grew up in Redfern.
Yeah, so it was. You couldn't get a cab there. No one would drive into the area. If you did walk down there, you were assaulted, robbed, and maybe even more.
I know what was that street? Because I
Everleigh Street.
Everleigh Street. Yes. I remember living in. I grew up in Orange, Central West, but moved to Sydney straight after school.
Nice.
And I lived on the northern beaches.
Yes.
But
not nicer than Redfern.
I mean, yeah, northern beaches is a nice area. But even very quickly, I learned about Everleigh Street. Don't go to Everleigh Street, man. It's not a place you want to go to.
Absolutely. It was a no-go zone, and we had running riots with police, and that was normal. Like, to grow up in that neighbourhood, and as I said many a times, just seeing domestic violence is normal. Seeing violence is normal. There was fights out the back lane where we'd all gather around, smash him, and it was just day-to-day
commonplace.
And then they'd drink after it, and everyone be drunk, taking drugs, shooting up heroin, which was huge at that point in time. Everyone's getting their MIN number, badge of honour to go to jail, and windows are smashed, graffiti everywhere, rats running around. We're on a mattress with bed bugs, 13 other kids. My groin is like a cheese from some sort of European country. It was just, people don't understand the context to it. And I can share photos with you that you could put up and show people. And
did you grow up right near there?
No, I was in there.
You lived there?
Yeah, 88 Everleigh Street. So I look at it as what happened to me happened for me. So 88 Everleigh Street, for me, the infinity numbers, that's where my grandmother lived, and I truly believe that her spirit, in her words, will always live on through me. And if I pass that on to people, including yourself today, and that knowledge is then grabbed by yourself, passed on to kids, family, partner, whoever it may be, then her spirit forever walks this planet. And that's all I can do to shift and change from there.
Just quickly, that kind of talk is a drastically different mindset from the kid growing up, getting in fights, smashing windows, seeing people shooting up, all that kind of business. Like, this is a different universe.
It's two totally different people, two totally different books, two totally different outcomes of life. And one was so toxic, dysfunctional, destructive, whatever you want to call it, right? But I managed that chaos, and I got good at it. So when I got arrested, I had no fear of a police station.
Well, it's probably not any worse than where you were. It's probably better.
It was better. It was cleaner. Food. When I go to the fridge on a Friday, my parents are drinking and I don't have food to rock up to in my own house. It's what led to me running away. Physical abuse, no food in the house, no safety, security, stability. Any woman, as an example, would want that in any relationship. Any person would want that in any environment, right? Yeah, we didn't have it as a 12-year-old kid. So I run out onto the streets. I hang jump out of a window. No plan. My plan was just to get out of there as quickly as I possibly could, and off we went. And
so you've left home at 12.
Yeah, Choose Your Own Adventure. I used to read those as a kid. Hands like, Christian Anderson.
Fuck it, let's go. I'm doing it.
And I think maybe it got to me a little too much. Go left here or jump out the window there. Yeah. Oh, I think I'll jump out the window.
Wow.
So onto the streets, and mate, it was an adventure, but at the same time, and this is for people, you'll have an adventure without a plan to life. I call it your GPS to life, but you're going to not do as many things as you would consciously do if you were intentional to the direction of what you truly want from your life. So I was just unconscious. Most people are in a program of getting up, going to work, getting ready, getting to school, kids ready, picking them up after school, cooking dinner, and that becomes your life. Holiday once a year, buy the family home, go through the processes.
It's all autopilot though.
Absolutely. And that's... There's Rob Sharma spoke about doing the same thing for 75 years and calling that life is crazy. All right. And there's a bit more expansion on that quote, but it's around that sort of context. And that tells me that we just go through these, wheels of life, a mouse treadmill, if you want to call it that, and you're just running on the spot. And you're looking at someone's holiday. Oh, we'd love to go to the Maldives. We can't afford it. Well, you can, and you could do something different. And it just comes down to how you use your time and how conscious you become of the unconscious. Because if it hasn't happened now and you're 38, will it happen in the next 38 years? Because you're still unconscious and you're still in the wheels of life. So once you allow yourself to sit down and go, wait a second, could I make more money and could I do it online? I don't know how, but guess what? You didn't know your current job and you learned. So all you got to do is commit some time to that, put it in a weekly planner, and things will start to shift and change.
It is interesting though, just how open we are to that mindset as a child.
Crazy.
How closed we are to that mindset as an adult.
Do you know why? I'll tell you. When you're in school, don't do that. When you're in your first job, don't do it like that. When you're in a relationship, I don't know if we can do that. Oh, don't do that to me. When you get to your first uni, don't do it that way. So by the time your parents don't do that, or whoever's bringing you up, carers, whoever it may be, extended family, and then you talk to friends. Oh, I've got a business. It's pretty hard. So we get shut down so much, and that dreaming young kid with the car, making these noise, that gets crushed in between those years. And by the time you come out of your teenage years, it's like, I'm just going to I'll fit in, get a job and do what I'm told. It's noble and it's humble and it's great. And it's, I'm not saying don't be a great citizen where you aren't affecting other people's lives. But what I am saying is there's more to life. And maybe it's a passion you have. I come in here, I can see clearly there's a passion for music. You go into another space, it might be a blank room, and I'm like, what's important to you? They're like, music. And I'm like, do you play? And they're like, I just feel embarrassed. And we sit with something. Why do you feel embarrassed? People always look at me funny. That's our perception and lens on the world. Until you shift and change that, you'll never pull out something that makes you happy. And we think in comparison to what's Mark going to think of me or what's Joe Blogg's going to think of me. Just do it for yourself and fuck what people think. And I mean that respectfully, as long as it doesn't impact my life. So whether it's religion, your thoughts, your choices, it's not my choice. But please just don't interfere with my space, and I wish you all the very best.
We have a mutual friend in Dane.
Yes, Dane, champion human being.
Yeah, one of the best.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that he talked, I went on their men's retreat recently, the 100 Warriors. Yeah, man, it was life-changing. It was incredible.
And people got to open themselves up to this, but it's hard to do because you got to be vulnerable. Yep. You got to show.
That's the first thing that happens.
Most people think, I've got to show the ugly side or be vulnerable and as a man, put your chest out. I was that person. Cell door locked every single night. I guarantee when it opened in the morning, I might have been, I weighed myself today at the Gold Coast Titans. We just come from there from a talk, and I was 78 kilos, wringing wet. 87 when I was in jail. So I had a lot more muscle on myself, and the chest is out. I'm ready to go to war, and people knew, and I did that from the start, that I'll go to the end. If you want to mess me, I'll go to the end. But that projection was bullshit. It was a scared boy.
Just survival mechanism.
Yeah, and other blokes can tell me how tough they are, and it doesn't matter who you are. If someone's got a knife, you're going to have something come up for yourself. After a while, it becomes normal, which is crazy, and you just think, whatever, I'll deal with this. So I've had this conversation around Bondi, the incident at Bondi. You get to a position where that becomes normal. Everyone else is running and it's chaos, and I'm like, this is normal. And I could have a conversation with that bloke and people are like, you're full of, but it's happened in jail, the same thing. And mate, where blokes are chasing a bloke around a yard and you're trying to have a conversation with them and they're looking at you saying, what do you mean? Well, and I'm trying to have a conversation in that moment saying, mate, 2 seconds, give me 2 seconds. Saying, mate, it's not worth it. You're going to spend 20 years in custody and having those conversations, insane, or about to happen. And it's just, we get good at managing that chaos and saying, this is normal. And then human beings will get good at managing the chaos of life. Everything that you want to do not happening, people treating you like shit, not having boundaries, toxic behaviors, the world treating us out of place. And and whatever you want to call it, right? Each to their own, it's a free world, but there's so many incidents in recent times that are in our face and people sit silent. And I'm not here to... The only thing I have in my head for the best interest of the community, and what is right will always be right and what's wrong will always be wrong. But if you bring up something, people are so programmed that they will go at you. The lockdown in the last couple of years was a great example of how society split.
Yeah, and people just did it.
And there was people that were spitting information, data from the actual sources that were dishing out the apparent solution at the time. They were spitting out data which the government uses to run programs or improve programs, and people would knock that data back. And still it's that dissonance. And if anyone doesn't know, go and have a look at the different types of dissonance, and you understand that conversation of why you might be one of those four. And I'll leave that with the audience to go and look that up for themselves. But in general, it just comes down to you could provide that information, they'll still knock it back. And that's what happened in the current thing. And that's where people get good at managing chaos. As long as it doesn't affect them, they don't care. But when it comes through your front door, now then it's a problem.
To do it. And it all seems to come back to this challenge of embracing change. It's like we are so, and I understand as it is a survival mechanism to stay comfortable, because
Absolutely.
we have to expend less energy, less emotional energy, less physical energy. And I understand that. But the irony is that on the other side of the change and the pain is the growth.
Absolutely.
and is the exciting stuff. But you can't get there. There's no shortcut. You can't take a pill and be, well, I tell you about, you can take psychedelics and you get there, but you have to go through some shit. It's like a fast track, but man, you get your ass kicked in there. And that's where the lessons are. Like,
absolutely. Every lesson's a blessing. That's the saying I've got. Every lesson is a blessing. And everything you go through, you obviously grow through. And to me, I just look back on it, your future is in your past. And it's going back there and grabbing what's in your invisible backpack, putting it on the table, having a real conversation. Most of the population will not do that because now it's the ugly version, the embarrassed, the ashamed, whatever, bad choices version.
The shadow.
Yeah, of yourself. So the mask comes on, and now when I meet you, what's your name? Oh, Jeffrey Morgan. I do stuff with the NRL, or I do stuff with the Department of Defence. I have no shame in my past because it shows me that I was vulnerable enough and strong enough to share those lessons and blessings that now go into other people's lives. And losing a brother and sister to suicide, that might mean I save, change, or empower your life, somebody within your space's life, an environment that you step into. And, what's that worth to the people out there? Priceless, right? So,
man, I'm so fascinated about the transformation that you have been through. I'm intrigued to know how this played out. So, okay, so you're a young lad, you jump out the window at 12.
Absolutely. Go onto the streets and go into survival mode.
Okay. So you're living on the streets. What's the path from here?
It's find a bed every night.
Okay.
Yeah. We find some money and a bunch of red frogs, and that just leads to a life of crime. And
what do you mean?
So we find this money in a canteen one time. We sneak through, grab packets of chips. We only ever grabbed 3 packets of chips. I was taught by my elders, Aboriginal elders, only take what you need. I only leave footprints, leave a legacy behind of knowledge. So for me, I take those 3 packets of chips. One day the back door of the canteen's open that we're sneaking into after it's closed, eating those 3 packets of chips, or 1 packet, taking 2, so we're going to eat for lunch and dinner. And the back door's open. We go in, Mars bars or whatever it is, you're eating some form of chocolate ice creams. I can't even remember what it was, but we were having a ball. We opened Red Frogs and there's a bundle of money. And I was like, well, if there's money in this shop, then there must be money in every shop. So we start learning how to get into shops without smashing the window or anything of that nature, which was weird because we didn't sort of want to damage the shop. It was real weird mentality, but
I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's harder to trace. It's your intention is let's not get caught.
And I don't think we even thought that, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I don't think you're in a mindset to think that way. You're just thinking, I just want to survive and get into bed tonight. And because I don't remember having fear of being caught. I never thought I'd get caught, to be honest with you. I wasn't doing anything wrong in my eyes as a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean, how much perspective can you really have at 12 years old?
And the emotional IQ is what, like nothing. So
it doesn't kick in until you're nearly 30 anyway. It didn't for me, fuck, man.
And most people, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're conscious, this is for the young kids that might be listening to this, get conscious now. If you're 15, 16 and you come across this podcast, man, you get that consciousness within 2 years, you got power, mate, and you'll be all that you want to be within by the time you're 22 and some. And that would be my biggest tip to everyone. Powerful. But, 12-year-old kid, you're not thinking. So by 16, I was so entrenched. That was my DNA. Crime was my DNA. And what happened was, looking back on it now, my parents not showing me that love. They did show me their love in their way, to the best of their capacity. But what I thought was a total opposite. Don't feel loved, cared for, valued or mattered. I'm out of here. See you later. And I'm being abused. Not my space to be in. Safety, security and stability. That ain't in this family home. I'm going out on the streets. I join a graffiti gang. That becomes my identity. I become one of Sydney's most known graffiti artists at the time. And the more that you spoke my name into existence, the more I just went harder and harder. My dad's mentality crossed over with this. I started into the Red Frogs, and that led to more break-in enters and in and out of juvenile justice. By the time I was 16, I had that realisation walking up the back lane of Redfern and just seeing fights, syringes, kids playing in glass, and just insane. Behaviours like that would be frowned upon in any space. And when I say that, it's there's a lot of trauma behind that as well, and neuroscience and a lot of data now, factual, shows you that that's passed on from generation to generation. And if that's been through a heap of deep trauma, and if anyone wants to understand the trauma, watch The First Australians or Australian Wars. It's a true journal of the true history of Australia's history through the journals of Captain Cook, Arthur Phillip. So it's not what I'm going to say something because I'm Aboriginal. This is what they wrote, and they wrote it to the Queen, and the Queen was involved at that point in time. And it's crazy because we expect women and children to be protected now. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Our women and children were raped, murdered, and treated badly and treated a specific way. And yet we'll have statues in major parks around of these people that have written, and there's facts around it now. So watch those series if anyone wants to watch those. And the craziest thing about it is we'll operate from the level we know. So I don't have no ill will towards non-Aboriginal people. I'll tell you why, because I go to Aboriginal communities and I'll ask them, do you know who Hitler is? And they go, yes. I say, do you know who Pemulwuy is? And they go, who's that? So even Aboriginal people don't understand it. I don't expect non-Aboriginal people to go and research it. But that's the opportunity to watch it. And if you're a female, especially, I've had so many females reach out after it and say, I'm appalled. And I cried during it. I didn't know that's what truly happened in Australia's history. And they should take every statue down. And, there's so much in amongst it, but that's a whole different story.
But you know it's something that I'm intrigued about is I, as an Australian man, know so little about Aboriginal culture in general.
Absolutely.
And I
not taught in schools?
No, I want to know. And I'm stoked that I can have this opportunity to talk to you.
Yes.
Because I want to learn about Aboriginal culture in general. I'm genuinely ignorant. If I don't make the effort to learn, no one in my culture is going to teach me.
Absolutely.
And I think that comes from shame of what happened.
This too, I think some people don't even have that time to think, Mark, to be honest. I've been, I've spoken to so many people, right? And they don't even start their own health and fitness journey or, I want to start a business or travel to a location. So that's what's important to them.
Yeah.
But it's been on the table. And I ask people at workshops, we do leadership workshops, how long has that been sitting there? All my life. I've thought about it all my life. So the last thing a non-Aboriginal person's going to do is go home and get home from a long day at work
and
let's look up Aboriginal
history.
Culture. It's just not going to happen. I'm happy to share the link with yourself, drop it in the actual podcast.
Yeah.
And for those that watch it, it's actually a really cool series. It's shot really well. I'm one of those people that if it's a great series, even if it wasn't Aboriginal, I'd say to people, watch this. It's actually cool.
Sure.
But it's got a lot of context and you can learn a lot about Australia's history in a 3-part series. And it goes back to give context to why people that don't have the emotional IQ. So people go, what do they do? Take drugs or alcohol or fight or get violent or go through that. That's passed on. Neuroscience data now, 100%. You can look that up yourself around how it's passed on that trauma from generation to generation. So Aboriginal people at that point in time, we didn't have the tools, the strategies, the tips, the campaigns that you see these days. Social media wasn't around, so we had no way of regulating our emotions, and the anger, the stress, the judgment built up within ourselves came out through that violence, those riots with police and us versus the rest of the world. And we had that little boundary and we felt safe within it. It's crazy that we as Australia could live like that. And it still happens in this day, and not just with Aboriginal communities, but disadvantaged communities where people have grown up without the right role modelling. I seen a kid when I last visited my brother, 13 years of age, probably 13, 12 years of age, and his mother say, "Stop playing up, you little mother," and starts swearing at him, and he goes, "F you, I'll smash you," to his mum at 12, 13 years of age. And I'm looking at the jail going, 6 years from now, this kid's going to be behind these walls, guaranteed. And then people say, lock them up, throw away the key. What if we role modeled them into becoming better human beings? And the reality is this: if we go to a domestic violence level and we don't choose to do it, someone's daughter's not going to be here any longer. How much is that worth for me to go in and have that conversation with the community so that our community's better for it? Priceless, right?
Oh, man. So I had this thought about this, and tell me what you think about this idea, right? Do you think that perhaps it seems to me that there's this culture that we have in Australia, right?
Yeah.
That it is where we're at now, and it's modeled on Western culture from all around the world. I sometimes wonder if what the Western culture that exists in Australia is trying to force Aboriginal folks to conform to that, and perhaps where this conflict came from is that these folks, that's not how they want to live. I mean, I certainly think that was the case way back when white folks came, and I think maybe the naive Aboriginal folks were just like, oh, there's people here, are we in danger? What's going on? Again, I don't know this. I'm just trying to figure out, using my intuition, what's happened. But
absolutely,
it just seems as though, what if we say that these Aboriginal communities are bad people because they're not living the way that they're not living civilized, or they're breaking these rules and all this stuff. But what if they don't want to do that? What if they don't want to live the way that we say that they should live?
I think that was definitely the case back when, and we got to a position where it transitioned and changed. But Aboriginal people, and if people know the core values of Aboriginal people and our songlines, our Dreamtime stories, our culture, our connection to
I'd love to know this stuff,
the language and so forth, it's all around pride and respect. And when you get into trauma, people say, oh, but you can act from a better space. When you get into trauma, and if you haven't been there and it comes for you and it happens, then you're going to sit there and go, now I understand what they're talking about. And it doesn't justify me throwing a brick at a police car, right? Let me clear that up and be clear. But at the same time, people then get context. Oh, wow. So if that was ongoing, consistent, I'll give you the example. You're in your house here and I walk in and just kick your door in and just grab your wife and kids. You'd fight me to the end, right? So most men would.
Yep.
Well, I hope they would.
Yep.
But in general, I don't believe that they would, most men, I'll be honest. But in general, that's what should happen. And you got to understand, Aboriginal people, imagine having that ripped from underneath yourself and then split. And some of those that were split never ever found them until they were back in the graveyard. Some of those have never found their families again. Some don't even know where they're from. So we've got tribes across Australia, 500 different language groups. Some of those people don't even know what tribe they're from because they were separated, put into a mission, and they came out and just, that was it. No one ever found them again. They didn't know where they went.
Fuck, that's so dark, man.
It's pretty crazy. And the last Aboriginal was killed in 1940s, which is, less than 100 years ago.
In what context? What do you mean?
Just for no reason, just for the sake of. And like, you got to think 70s, we got, and going back to your conversation, I always use Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people because a lot of people say, even in my culture, will say, oh, white people. And I was like, you told me that you don't like racism, right? So why are we using white people? For me, Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people, best way to treat a human being, love, kindness, empathy and respect, the greatest race on this planet, the human race, when we all get on with each other. But you've got to be real too and understand why something's happening. And that's where Australia's disconnected, because we've grown up where Hitler, they know more about Hitler. So when they say this particular date, everyone's like, who cares? What's wrong? And I think, going back to your conversation, I don't think there's fear or shame or anything, because I don't think people know enough to be ashamed of.
Sure.
And if you know, I met a bloke in a pub. I'll give you another example, right? We go and salute the Anzacs on Anzac Day, and so we should. Love that they fought for our nation, right? And sacrifice their lives, and their kids and grandkids are now wearing those medals with pride. But an Aboriginal man that I met up in Cairns, I walked past him, I had a TV show, he goes, you're that fitness fella, eh? I go, yeah, we started yarning. He goes, yeah, I went to war, and we were talking. And it was a story up there in the paper at the time. They went to give him his medal, and it was probably within the last 4 years, just 4 years ago from back then. And I think to myself, he said one thing he did love, and he appreciated those that he fought beside, instead of, because they had the non-Aboriginal people over in the pub, and they couldn't even go into the pub after fighting for their own country together. So the non-Aboriginal people said, well, if he can't come in, then we ain't coming in too. So he did say that. Big shout out to all those that stood up when everyone else stood down. And why wouldn't that be a better place? Because I guarantee if war went down, you'd want me fighting beside you. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
All that bullshit goes out the window real quick, doesn't
bullets
it?
Bullets are zipping by. Mate, but can you tell me where you're from? Oh, no, I'm not fighting. Bullshit. You're not going to worry about you're going to say, mate, bloke's coming to our left or something of that nature. Yeah. Why is it then so important? People get in a competition, who's right, who's wrong, rather than what's right and what's wrong.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Oh, man.
Operate from that level and we'll all be good. That's it. Right? But to do some due diligence on what you're about to open your mouth to, now you can have a proper conversation.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
I'm with you, man. I'm absolutely with you. And I think that this is why what I was getting at before is I'm so uneducated on Aboriginal history, on Aboriginal traditions, and it's really intriguing to me. These are folks that existed in harmony with the land for thousands of years.
Crazy.
Beautiful.
Crazy.
Incredible. They know shit, man.
That's insane.
Like and we don't celebrate that culture anywhere near as much as I would like us to. I think it's fascinating.
One of the biggest things now on social media is gratitude. Yeah. Gratitude, praying, meditation, mindfulness. Aboriginal people started that many, many years ago. Connection to culture, connection to what we call Mother Earth. Yeah. Treat it with respect. Yeah. Only take what you need. Pass on that knowledge. And that's what I'm doing today. I come with a message stick, so a tribe would be in between. I pass this message stick to them. They say, come through, have that conversation. We might exchange some stuff, foods or knowledge, so that they can not thrive in that environment. People would be blown away if they went out on a cultural camp and actually let themselves go and you'd be abundant for the rest of your life. You'd be rich for the rest of your life, because now you know how to use the simplest things to make you feel that you've already got everything that you need. Now everything's a bonus. So 1 guitar, unbelievable. 2, what? 3,
it's all gravy.
Yeah. So but what we'll get in is the eyes of envy through social media. And that's because we haven't grounded ourselves or known from the ground up who we want to be. And people go, I know who I am. And I'm like, all right, tell me what's your plans for the next 5 years. And they go, I've got no idea. I go, tell me on a relationship level, financial level, psychological level. And I could go through and sit with an individual and they go, I've got no idea. And they'll sit there and they go, if they feel offended by it, they'll attack me. Mate,
yeah, well, that's easier than addressing. It's that ego
who you want to be.
Yeah, it's much easier to go,
how crazy is that?
You're making me feel upset. Fuck you for saying that.
100%.
There's something wrong with you. It can't be me, you know.
Who are you? You're not, I'm not listening to someone who's been to jail for 20 years. That's what, and this is about how you could get the most out of life for you, for you, by you. I could guide you, and I'd love to, because that's how we should be as humans. Pass on that knowledge stick to allow people to take the message and live a better life. And that's how we thrive, not survive, for so long. As something, I'm abundant. I'm always rich. And because I've connected at I wouldn't say to the lowest level, at ground level, where the simple things mean everything. And now I get one thing and it means even more so. So learn to let go of your pride and your ego and be vulnerable. And you've just done that with Dano, mate. And no doubt you feel a different version of yourself. That would be my biggest tip to everybody. Stop worrying about what others think and start worrying about who you want to be. That was
one of the first things, that first nuggets of gold that Dano shared with us, is that, listen, guys, the fact of the matter is no one gives a shit about anyone else, to be honest, because they're just trying to figure themselves out. Absolutely. Or they're just trying to manage the chaos. And we all think that everyone else is we've got, I can't do this because of everyone else. But the reality is that, man, they're just trying to stay afloat in their own chaos.
Absolutely.
No one cares what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd say to everybody out there, look up the 4 forms of dissonance. So I'm not going to run through them and take up and consume a lot of time on those. But it's how we're built and how we respond to a situation. So I'll give you that advice. And as I said before, even with data and facts.
Yeah. The cognitive
Australian
dissonance
wars,
is a powerful one.
And your brain gets into this, and you'll become one of those. And until you address that, and when I say address it, I call it a gap and a space between who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. So don't call it an issue. Oh, I've messed up. I've made a mistake. It's just a realization of how I could level myself up. You give me some value, I add one layer. Someone else. And all of a sudden, my thoughts don't operate from a low level. And I mean that respectfully, because I operated from a low level but said it was okay. Redfern, crime, getting locked up. Not being a father to my kids. I had 2 kids at that point in time that I spent 15 years away from. And I said I was okay. Partied every weekend when I come home. Didn't even think about my kids. And I told myself I was okay. So people will have judgment on that. I'm cool with the old chapter and version of myself who no longer exists. That person's dead. And I recreated myself. To do the same for yourself, you have to go in and deep dive and say, wait a second, am I truly serving myself to the life I want? And is it moving me forward towards every single bit I want within this life? And whether it's the locations you travel to, the persons you want to marry or not get married to, those sorts of things, and some, that comes down to the awareness that you put into that mindfulness and connection to yourself, and then you become truly rich, because you are you. The old saying, or my saying, you ain't anybody until you. And that means, most people say that they're already themselves, but they're actually just a shell. Got the mask on, projecting something else. Someone comes into your space, now you got the dissonance, because you just don't have the emotional IQ to have the awareness to connect to yourself and actually move away from what's not serving you as you.
You're on it, man. So I'm so fascinated about what it was for you that, because all the things you're saying I completely resonate with, and I think most people would resonate with it. It makes sense, but that's not. I want to know what was the transition period where you changed from being this unconscious dude into becoming self-aware. I know what it was for me. It was psychedelics for me. It was always there for me. I always questioned the world and my place in the world. I remember being a young kid lying in my bed, looking up. I can see my perspective now. I'm lying in my bed. I can see my curtains next to me, which had little farm animals on them. So I was a little kid. Wow. And I remember looking at the ceiling, thinking about the sky and how far it goes and what is even the purpose of me being alive, and getting really frightened by that. And contemplating existence in general. So it was there for me for an early age, but the self-discovery really happened after taking psychedelic mushrooms. Now, I was on the journey because I'd gotten a little bit famous, being an actor, doing this kind of thing, and thought that was what I wanted, got a big ego trip and realized, oh no, I think this is actually pretty toxic. This doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm becoming someone that I don't respect, and I need to look elsewhere. And then when I took my first psychedelic mushroom trip, it was calling me, man. I was listening to these people talking about it and the experience, exactly the things that you have just said about going from being an unconscious passenger of your own life into being self-aware. And that was where it happened for me. Now, you've had a very different journey coming from a place of true chaos, man. Like insane. And have come to where you are. When you're a kid and you're walking through Everleigh Street and there's all this, drug taking and violence and madness around you, and that's your home. Are you shitting yourself scared, or are you comfortable?
Just cruising. Happy days. And
so that you're operating from a completely different place to like
at
me.
Peace. I was at peace.
Oh man,
I was loved.
16-year-old me in that place would be absolutely petrified.
Man,
I'd probably be pissing my pants.
And if someone took a wrong turn or drove down there, walked down there, it just sounded really bad. And for me, it was just home. I was safe. And that's where people, if you don't identify that, you'll sit within that. And for me at 16, I know it was 16, I didn't take drugs until I was 28. I got into the recreational side. And I was in my eyes.
Until you were 28?
28.
So you went through that environment without touching drugs?
No, man.
Why?
And I was very well known for the crimes I was committing. I was very innovative and I was making a lot of money. I just didn't. I had probably, to be honest with you.
You had to have known something to be like, I'm not.
I think it was when I was 13-ish. We had a whole heap. Heroin had come into the country and a lot of the community used it. And we had X amount of kids drop dead within a short period of time.
Oh, yep, that'll do it.
5 kids, and I was like, stuff that. I don't want drugs.
Yeah, you see that happen firsthand. I'm sure that would have been like, nah, not for me.
I was just in survival mode too, so I didn't feel like I had trauma to deal with. And as you said, where you can't, I was just cruising, and it was, I was in control of my life. I was designing it my way. So I just didn't have any awareness, But
so just on that, the irony is there's something empowering about that. That's something exciting. You're like, I'm in charge of this. I'm figuring stuff out on my own, and huge. I'm making money doing it.
I'll tell you something. Everyone drops in my inbox, when did you become a coach or whatever it is, right? Consultant. And I'm like, when I hung jump out of the window at 12 years of age, because you took control. I just had to take control. And I think looking back on it now, it's how do I manage that chaos is done well for me in business now. So when what normal people would say is chaos, I'm like, oh, bro, that's easy.
That's another one. Trust me.
We're cruising. It's all good. And they're like, I don't know how you stay so calm. And I'm like, if you only knew, and that 16-year-old kid, what he saw flying up I wouldn't say flying up, walking up the middle lane that day, I'll never forget. And when I say violence in the fight, I'm talking splits, cuts, blood, and all of us cheering on like it was a Colosseum. And then another bloke going in, oh, touch my cousin. And then they were fighting, and then the other people jump in, and in the background of that, someone's, I'm not joking when I tell you this, having some heroin in their arm, and another person's holding their arm, and then there's other people selling drugs to other people who have walked down there, and it was insane. Kids crawling, and the syringes on the side of rats running across. So this all happened at 16. And I walked from the bottom of the lane to the top of the lane. It's probably 400-meter walk. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But by the time I got to the top, I was like, fuck, this can't be normal. Is this fucking normal? And mum dies, and then it sort of tacks on. I call it the sum of all things, because when I'm there, mum dies, and behind her are two brothers, and they grew up, keeping me up all night partying. And I go, oh, there's my uncles.
Your uncles, right?
And I go back there, and I look, and they're both 50 when they die. And I'm like, fuck, 50? And then, that tack on, like, fuck that, I don't want to be dying at 50. And I definitely want more independence in my life, the strength, I don't want to just exist. I want to live, man. And what's that mean? So I started to write that out.
Just quickly, how much grief did you go through for your mum passing at that age when you're in that environment? Did you feel much, or were you just like, I've got to keep moving?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's probably one I've never been asked either. I don't even think I missed a beat, to be honest. I don't even know if I cried at my mum's funeral. Wow. And even today, I find it hard to cry at a funeral. And it's you become so desensitized to such tragedy that it just becomes normal. The only thing now I'm more conscious and aware of, I actually sit there, not in judgment, but like, far out, man. This person's made these choices. That's why they're there early. And my brother just passed away this year from lung cancer, and high-fived me and said, at least I made it to 60, bro. And I was so angry in the hospital, but not angry, but like, what do you high-five me for that? That's not an achievement. And he's like, most of us died 50s, bro. I made it to 60, and he partied all his life. But that makes me sad. And that's, why that little kid at 16 seeing that and starting to shift those behaviors, and who I am today, traveling the world as a global business, leadership, mindset, wellbeing, high performance habits, coming from the Gold Coast Titans to here today as an example, is why I'm committed to sharing that knowledge, because whether it changes a life, whether it saves a life, my brothers and sisters as an example, maybe it's your family's, empowers a life, how much is that worth?
Yeah.
And it's easy to say those words, but when you get into it, you can't even cry at your mother's funeral. What type of life? Anyone want that life? So you want to tell yourself, or keep telling yourself, that you're okay when you shut the door in your bedroom and watch Netflix chewing down on all the foods that you don't want to be chewing on. And next time someone takes a photo, take my good angle, show me the photo. Wait, let me do my hair. Let me stand behind you so no one can see how big I am. Fuck that shit, man. Like, you got more in you. And today's the day. Listen to yourself, but most importantly, listen to your inner child self. What you spoke about before, that kid that had those dreams, what were they? And even if it was to be an astronaut, fucking go try. Just try and see where it takes you, and you just don't know what happens. I
like that, man, because one of the question I keep coming back to is, it's like everything you're saying is true, but it doesn't change how challenging it is to take those steps. But if you tap into the malleability of that inner child, like you give a challenge to a little kid, my daughter's 2.5, you give a challenge to a little kid, and just watching them do that, they're so open to it, and Absolutely. They play with it. They have fun doing it, let alone they're not being afraid to do it. I mean, sometimes they are, but more so it's like we just won't. As adults, we're like, nah, I can't do it. Absolutely. I want to do all these things, but I'm just not doing it.
Do you know why? Because those years I spoke about, we get into judgment and, am I good enough to play this? Or is my voice good enough? Is someone walking past? Is there anyone even listening? And then we start the, self-doubt and all of the whatever else you're thinking at that point in time. My biggest thing is just do. And as a bank robber, it was one advantage I had. You don't go,
it's a fair bit of courage.
Should I jump over this thing that comes up at, I don't know how quick they come up, but it crushed some people and killed them, right? So when I take that and make that decision, well, I ain't mucking around. I'm going straight over that counter. And that skill, I look back as that came from me being that young kid on the streets. Yeah. You don't think, you just do. And go back to the young version of yourself and what were you dreaming about? Yeah. And you're like, I wanted to be a race car driver. I wanted to be Top Gun pilot when I was a kid because Tom Cruise was out and Top Gun was out.
Yeah.
And it got crushed by my criminal record because I went and sat the test and passed the test. Criminal record comes back and they say, sorry, mate, you can't do it, right? So I then went, F them and F the world and all of the above. But what could I have done to to navigate that? And the biggest thing, there's so many people that have been able to do that. They've been become politicians that had with the criminal record. So don't give up on your dreams because one thing goes bad. Understand that you're going to work hard somewhere. So whether it's for me, you're my employee, make sure you clean those bins, mate, or cook that food right, or serve those customers, or whatever it is that I'm getting you to do. You're going to work hard for me. Do it for yourself. Work harder on yourself than you do your job, and watch what happens. Work harder on yourself than you do your job, and I guarantee life will change. Whole new level. You unlock the cheat code of life.
And I like coming back to that tapping into the inner child version of you. I think, at least for me, that resonates. The courage of my little kid self.
Love that.
He's got the guts to give it a crack,
which
is funny because I'm a 38-year-old man, but yet the little kid version's got more guts than I do at times.
Go back, find that kid, and that's for everyone. Laugh about it.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, no doubt you played and you fell over and scuffed your knee up or whatever it was that you did, right, in your hands. And then you got back up and 5 minutes later you're playing with the car with cuts all over your hands. These days we're like, I can't do it because I've got cuts on my hands.
Yeah.
Time's the greatest gift you've ever
gone, hasn't it? Yeah.
And that happens even quicker these days. Social media just pushes so many people into a belief that I can't. And then I don't have the Lamborghini. I don't have the $1 million. You're already abundant and rich. Like, have a look around yourself. And I mean that here in Australia. Some countries, they struggle a lot more than Australia. But even for yourself, be the innovator, because I was that person for myself on the streets, which led to the life that I truly wanted, which means you've got to do something that maybe your family's never done. Be the champion of being a beginner and say yes to yourself and no to everybody else. We put more time into others than we do ourselves. Same thing. Work harder on yourself than you do others. What you've been through happened not to you, but for you. So those lessons that became blessings, and it's a lot more deeper and complex than that, but at least it gives them a path to see from a different perspective, because the only perspective they're seen from is what's called their limbic brain, and their limbic brain is just what? Trauma, stress. Now the emotions and feelings are attached. Now I put on a particular type of music, whatever it may be, Mariah Carey for some, and you go through this thing. Now I'm going to ring Marky. I can't believe I broke up with that person, or this happened in my life. For me, someone dies. My brother died this year. I kept rolling through life, not because I didn't care, but I realized the power of life and how much time I've got on this planet. Shortened time. Here's a quick little equation for people out there. Whatever country you're in and you're listening to this, what's the average age of male, if you're male, or female? Then work out your current age, work out how many years you got left to actually go out and live this life I spoke about, and look at how many you've left behind. And if that's not a wake-up call, snap kick yourself to the moon. Because I can't tell you the value that I find in putting my head down on a pillow, and this is just one thing I've got, and not having noise in my head anymore. Priceless. You know
what you're talking about to me sounds as though it's about reframing our relationship with failure instead of and embracing failure and understanding that. And again, coming back to the kids thing, as a child, your life is just full of failures because you're a little kid. You don't know how to do things. Your bones haven't formed properly. You can't hold a pen to draw something and then you get a little better. Like, you are just inundated with new experiences, which in turn means failures. And you just roll with it because you have to.
Absolutely.
And as you get older, we learn how to do things better. We become more, capable, and we have less failure in our life. And I think that gets comfortable. So therefore, my theory on this is that we shy away from the things that we know we may fail at, and we lean into the things that we know we're not going to fail at. But it's that it's embracing those failures and going, it's like that. Okay, here's a good example. When you travel the world, travel to a new country, it's daunting, especially a country with a completely different culture.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's where the growth is, because you can go to, let's say if I go to England compared to if I go to Bangladesh, these are drastically different experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the amount of failures I'm going to have in England are far less than I'm going to have in Bangladesh, because I can't even speak the language. Absolutely. I don't know how I'm going to get to the next place. There's a lot of stress and a lot of mistakes and a lot of things not going right.
Huge.
But you come back from that trip a new person. That's what they say. Travel broadens the mind.
Culture, and when I say culture, people like all the time, but I'm not Aboriginal. What culture do you bring to yourself? Right? And
remember
whether that's travel, whether it's thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, actions, what culture do you embed in yourself? And then I look at also, you spoke about, I think one of the most important things people don't understand, and this is like power on power, is the power of actually saying, what happened to me? How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I prosper from this? And to do that, you've got to find out.
People want to bury. Even asking that question. This is the thing. Like, how do you get someone to actually face that? Because it's so hard.
Draw a circle, and in that circle, write out the emotions you're currently living with, and then ask yourself, is that what you want to live with for the rest of your life?
That's good, yeah.
It's simple, right? And you look at it and go, sadness, envy, resentment, whatever it is that you've got, hate. You want to meet,
how do I feel about
you're a girl and I'm a guy, and I go, hey, how are you? My name's Jeffrey Morgan. I'm going to bring you resentment, hate. Yeah. Yeah. Are we good for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
No way,
I'm
right?
a real package, aren't I? Yeah.
That's a yes, right?
Yeah,
you say,
yeah.
So when you recognize that, then you can say, well, I don't know how to shift and change out of that. Just start to ask yourself the yin to the yang, right? I'll call it. So the yin to the yang is replace the words and then replace it. What environments would that happen in? Happiness, where would that happen?
Yeah.
Is it, it would happen hiking. I don't have time. Have a look at your diary and don't bullshit yourself on this, because I get $1 billion, $1 million CEOs that say I don't have time. We look at their diary and say, mate, you've got 4 hours here, 3 hours there, 2 hours here.
Yeah.
And they have a disconnection with their family. I'm going to set my family up and this is it, My kid drives the best car, private school, this, that and the other, but there's no connection between them both, because he hasn't even kicked a footy since he was born, and now he's in 18 years of age, about to graduate or whatever it may be. And he's missed it, right? And the kid, he goes, I don't understand why my kid's taking drugs. Well, he feels that you don't love him. He's like, how does he feel? I've done all of this for him. When was the last time you hugged him? When was the last time you went on a holiday together? And when you're on a holiday, packed your phone away and not answered your emails, as an example. That consciousness creates a different way of life for people. But people will say, it's wishy-washy consciousness. Who cares? Here's the thing. You jump in a car, you travel from here to Sydney. We're on the Gold Coast. Sydney's an hour away, more than that, 8 hours away.
From here, I was going to say 10.
An hour away flying, a good solid 10 hours, like if you stop at stuff and so forth. And you come to my house. I say, here's my address. You turn on a GPS. So turn on your GPS to life and start to become conscious around what you want, and you won't get lost. You ever been lost, frustrated? Some people punch the dash. Excuse me, mate, do you know where you're going? Now I'm blaming the person next to me for my own struggles because I can't find where I'm going. Imagine when you can't find where you're going in life, and the emptiness inside and what you feel from that whole scenario. That stays within your circle, those emotions and feelings. Fear is a feeling that creates an emotion that ends up in an action and a reaction. And that allows you, when you write that out and you say, what can I do with this fear that I've got in this circle, and how can I remove it? Yin to the yang, swap the words. What, when, where, who, why, where does it happen? And you can go through those questions for yourself and then replace those with a positive outcome or positive way of life. So you've been talking about you're not feeling great, lacking confidence. Maybe you want a great confidence. Where would that happen? Maybe I start training. Where would it happen? Is it at the gym? No, I don't like the gym. All right, well, let's buy some dumbbells from home. Do you know how to start yourself up on that? Your form and technique. Is there YouTube videos you could watch? Ask yourself all those questions. But to do that, you've got to put in a lot of work. But here's the thing. You'll put in more work when you get to a point where you're reactive. So if you get cancer because you don't look after yourself, as an example, I guarantee you'll put the work in you need to put in. Do it now and you won't have to put that work in at some point in time. And genetically, if it happens, you'll be so comfortable with yourself. Some of my clients have been through that journey and they're actually comfort. Yeah. And I'm talking, there's one in this current space where he's comfortable with what's about to happen. And, that could be within 4 weeks. And he's just said, I've set myself up, I've done everything right, and I've set my family up. And that's the power of consciousness towards knowing who you are and what you want from this life. You tell me how powerful that is to be sitting on your deathbed and saying, I'm comfortable.
That's beautiful, man. You can't ask for a better way to go.
And he's done everything he possibly could prior to this happening, and genetically things just happen. And that could happen to me, and I'll be in that same headspace. So I'll do what I can do in this space to prolong it and be as healthy as I can during that journey. But if it is to be, then it is to be. I'm not going to stress and, I'll go out and live as much as I can with the life I've got left. Priceless.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I guess that is the mindset that I think that we can all hope to get to. But I think that there are a lot of people who don't even think they're going to die. They don't even think about it.
Absolutely. And we just think we've got so much time. That little dash in between when you're born and when you die, that's the life you get to live. So that little dash, that's your GPS to life. That's your A, that's your B. Here's where you're born, here's where you die. What life will you create in between it? I'd say this to yourself too. Change your language to change your outcome. This is for everybody out there. So if you say you made a mistake, is mistake a positive or negative word? And people go, oh, negative, it could be positive. I go, so how could it be positive? Oh, it'd be a lesson. I said, so what about if I said in my speech, I learned a lesson today that became a blessing, where I learned, grow and prosper from. What I learned from it was X. How I grew from it was Y. And now I'm prospering through Z. And it doesn't have to be financial.
It's a great reframing, man.
Do you know? And when you reframe it like that, so even mid-sentence, if you catch yourself and you go, hopefully I have this drink of water, Marky. Hopefully. It's bullshit. You either want the water or you don't. So don't remove hopefully. Remove wish. Do I want this? Is it a part of my A to B of life? Yeah, sustenance of life and hydration and quality of life. Therefore, I have this water. Bang. But as soon as we start to go, hopefully I have that, I wish I had that, I'm looking through a different lens. And I'm seeing that cup of water as, I don't know, poison or struggle or stress.
It is powerful that when you change your internal and external dialogue. I remember hearing one a few years ago now about money mindset, and the technique was, instead of saying I can't afford that, say that is something I'm not going to invest in at the moment. And when you go, okay, but when you actually do it and you take a moment to think about the place that these two ways of saying the same thing are coming from, they're actually drastically different, and totally you feel drastically different.
1,000,000%.
Isn't it amazing?
I go on holidays. I'll give you the greatest example. I go on holidays, and whatever's in my bank account, I've got this rule: spend 10% of what you got, so you got money there all the time. So if I go on a holiday and it cost me, let's say it was 10 grand, must have 100 grand in the bank. But I say to my partner, I'll make that $10,000. So instead of saying I don't have it, even if I didn't have money, I'll make the $10,000 and I'll make the $90,000 more through something I got value and benefit that creates a need towards a space. And if I'm a value and benefit to somebody, they'll pay the 100 grand in a heartbeat, right? And that allows me to live a specific way. I'll give you another one. Money isn't everything. Money isn't everything, brother. And I was like, so what's money for? And I'll ask everybody on here, what's it for then? Is it to pay your bills? Is that what we're here for, to pay our bills? And it's great to buy a house, but what if you could pay the house off in 2 years? And people go, that's bullshit. That's what you've been programmed to believe, that you'll pay it off by the time you retire. And when you retire, you then travel Australia. So many cases where they get to that point, terminal illness before that point, and they don't get to spend the money that was saved.
They've waited so long and then their body fails them before they can.
We live in a drive-through society. I want a six-pack now. We'll drive through this.
Yeah.
Yep, beautiful. I got the six-pack.
We're getting lazier and lazier.
I want inner peace now. Let's drive through here. $4.60, mate, for inner peace.
Yeah, I'd like some inner peace. Thanks very much.
You got to work. Whatever you choose to do, you got to work hard on. Like you're a musician. I can't just jump on there and today go out and rock and say, all right, you can't play today. Leave it with me. I'll go down to and take over your concert. It's bullshit. I got to sit there and play and then become unique. How can I do things, whether I'm tapping my guitar or I don't know, I want to stand out, I want to be different, I want to look different, I want to play different, I want to have a unique look that people want to hire me for. Maybe I can dance while I'm playing the guitar. Now I've got more value than he has. And all of a sudden, people are connecting with yourself. So we've all got something we're great at. Go out and unleash that inner child and see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's not hard in this day and age.
Doing the just being consistent, isn't it?
You got experts everywhere. YouTube's full of experts. And I'm talking Harvard professors. When I was a kid, there was no way I got access to Harvard or any professor across the world.
We can learn anything these days.
Redfern kid, like if I was growing up in Redfern now, I could jump on and look at a Harvard professor talking and I'd go, oh, wow, that's how you regulate your emotions. Try that, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel good. So it's what you choose to give your time to.
Yeah.
And if you choose to operate at a low level, you'll choose to give your time to gossip. You'll choose your toxicity, dysfunction, drugs, alcohol, trying to regulate your emotions. And now you're in a circle you don't want to be in and you've got no boundaries. And more than likely your partner's going to come from the same space. And now you've got to deal with maybe domestic violence, being treated like shit. Sounds good to me. And when I say sounds good to me, I'm taking the piss. Like no one wants that.
Yeah.
So understand where you sit within this life and you will head towards a better life. So
you were on some low level stuff for a while.
1,000,000%. Long while.
I mean, it's intriguing because it's a place that like I don't think I've ever met anyone who's been through the things that you've been through. So you were robbing banks?
Absolutely.
What?
I got charged for 2 of those banks.
So I don't want to glorify it by any means, but I love the movie Point Break.
Oh yeah. But and people always, mate, I've had so many people that say, oh, I've always thought about robbing a bank or armor guard or something. I look at the money and think if I could grab it and run off. And it's, I suppose movies like that, Point Break.
Yeah.
The Heat was another one.
Yeah.
The Town with
they had a cool factor to do.
Yeah, and they made it real cool about it. Look, don't anybody that watches this, there's nothing cool about it. I can guarantee that, right? The reality when you're in it, it seems cool.
Well, it definitely would be thrilling.
Absolutely. And that, if I said it otherwise, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm lying. Because I'm in that world.
What a rush.
And we want to go in and get everything we want to get out of it.
It's almost like a game, right? Like that, there's nothing, that the stakes are even higher than a fight.
Absolutely.
Like these are, you could die. If someone, a police officer or a security guard could
thrilling.
Shoot and kill you.
Crazy.
You could go to prison for the rest of your life. Like the stakes are high. So the thrill must be like, I can understand how one could almost get addicted to doing it. Did you feel like, I don't want to do this again after you did it?
It's more like, I suppose it just becomes a way of life. I never really got addicted to it, I would say. It was just, you just think it's normal part of life. It's crazy.
So
the thrill of the Kinder surprise, we used to call it. Tell us,
Kinder.
Yeah, you'd have the driver in your ear telling you what's in there, and we'd come back with your mum or so, and he'd be like, if you, and we'd be going at it. That's crazy, eh? And to think that people would think that like we
cracking
probably
jokes
have
in the middle of a bank robbery,
and it's crazy that we even thought that was normal, and we laughed about it. I was like, and he'd be like, and we'd just go back and forth bantering while we're doing this thing, right?
Wow.
And the reality is that we were traumatizing people. And so I'll make sure that I clarify to people out there, I'm giving you context to what it was like back then. And now that I've shifted and changed, I'm not proud of that individual, but you're just unconscious. And as I said, people, you are a prisoner of your own mindset right now. And as long as you're unconscious, you're going to stay in those shackles, locked in these wheels of life, and you're not going to be all that you could possibly be. Be more than you are by becoming conscious, and to do that, you got to be vulnerable. To do that, you got to do some hard work. But
at this point, you're the opposite of that. You're going in. Are you armed?
We never got charged for being armed ever. So we went in, no weapons ever seen. Took a sledgehammer in to open a vault.
So you didn't take any. You didn't take any weapons in.
No. We're a very fit crew, very strong crew.
Just intimidated with your crew. How many of you were there? 4
when we were arrested last time. So 4 of us served time down in Victoria, and I served 7 years. So I got out in 2010. It's been 14 years now, and as I said, we travel the globe working with $1 million, $1 billion CEOs, organisations, communities, services, government. Yeah, you name it, we do it. And to me, it's been crazy, but that's the power of unconscious to conscious.
Yeah.
So everyone knows the power of unconscious to conscious, and what's that on your level around what you do and what you're good at. So I identified, hey, wait a second, I still got leadership in me. Within all of this, the fights that would have happened if I hadn't been in particular jails would have ended up with people being airlifted out of that jail, maybe even going out in a body bag.
So you even found yourself guiding people within prison?
Absolutely. So I figured we can all do time easy together, or we can all
be at war,
have eyes in the back of our head and cop it. And it happened many a times where people copped it without expecting it. What if we all just got on in this environment? You got the most hostile environment where, I'm not joking when I tell you this, if you put your milk in my spot, you might not be here tomorrow.
Wow.
So it's that volatile, right?
Really?
So imagine when I can then broker peace with all of us. And we're all eating together, playing sport together, doing things together, talking respectfully together. It's insane.
Okay,
the jail recognised this, and then I recognised it.
Yeah.
And I went, wait a second, you got a good skill here. What could you use this for around what you want to do with the rest of your life to be the best of your life?
This is amazing. I want to go back because there's something that's changed within you in this time, and I'm really keen to get to that moment. So
absolutely.
How old are you when you do your first bank robbery?
I got charged when I don't know. I'm not. It was so traumatizing, and so I'd say 97.
Foggy.
Yeah,
okay.
It didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't important.
Yeah.
So people remember birthdays for their childs because that's important, or something that's happened that's important.
This was just the next step.
This is just like whatever. It's part of the job. So it's like saying to you, when did you write that report back? 4 years ago. You're like, oh fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. So that was your mindset around it.
Yeah. Crazy.
Was it your idea? Do you remember that?
No. So on a day, people are going to be surprised by this, but I was a consultant. True story. I wasn't meant to go to this bank robbery. Blokes go, can you help us out? Can you show us how to do it your way? My way was where you get all of the money and not just be a cowboy and run in and, give us all the money and then run out with a couple of $1,000s. I went there. I wasn't meant to go into the bank. I'd been charged a particular way before, where the clothes I wore, say it was this, photographed by surveillance. Later on in the day, person wearing similar stuff did something. I actually beat that at trial But I learned a lesson from it. I said, don't ever walk out the house with the same clothes, and shift and change somewhere. So even if you had a backpack, they don't know what's in the backpack. Just change when no one's around. I go out in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm a consultant. I'm going to sit in a car. I'll get X amount of dollars for the day. That was my role. At that point in time, give them some advice. They go in, they're struggling, they ring up. Their girlfriend's in the car at the time, in the car with me, which when I showed up, they go, oh, this is my girlfriend so-and-so. This is Jeff Morgan. And I'm like, what the what the fuck, bro? Look. I go, that's not my real name, just so you know. And
you're like damage control. Fuck, man.
Anyway,
do you want to give my address as well? Jesus.
Pretty much. And that was my being. I'd gone for a real long period too. I'd been out about 7 years at this point in time, and I was making huge money. I had a real big reputation in the criminal world. Spaniard described me as hood superstar. He also said they had a conversation in the yard around who was the best money maker, and my name came up in amongst the group of blokes that have been there, done that. Now, and I don't mean that in a big headway. I mean that was just the reality of how we operated.
You were working at it.
So I went to that shorts T-shirt. I get there, the girl's in the car. They ring me during the robbery, and I'm talking, they don't ring some burner phone. A burner phone's a phone that you get from a servo back then. You throw it and no one would ever know, right? Joe Bloggs had that phone, and it never exists ever again. They don't ring the burner phone. They ring my personal phone. My personal phone isn't on...
Mid-robbery?
Yeah, my personal phone, which we knew too, taps. I didn't have a concern because my mate lived close by, so I didn't really worry. I said, what were you doing in the area? I was going to my mate's house. Who cares? And I had intentions after it just to go to my mate's house, stop there, have a drink, drive off. No problems. So if they said, what were you doing? I was in the area. No problems, right? Had my whole story ready and all of the above. They ring my normal phone. Can't get this open. Can you come and do it?
Hi, Jeff Morgan. Listen, sorry guys, if you could just hold on. We're just having some trouble with the vault.
Pretty much.
What a phone call to get. Hi, how's it going in there, fellas? You know?
Mate, that was the gist of it. I should have said, you're a fucking idiot, see you later, and walked off, right? True story.
But you took the call.
Take the call. I run down. I wrap the shirt around my head as best I can. I pull it up here, tie the sides up. I've got a little slit, run into the bank. My arms are showing. Any scars that I had, they're going to come up on cameras if I got them. Shorts, same thing. I got a distinctive bunch of scars on my legs. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I'm not even thinking. I just run into the bank. I do what I do. We get some money. I turn around and two managers are there, and they're saying, mate, you're not going anywhere. I said, we can do it the easy way or the hard way. They move out of the way. I go out of the bank, run up to the car. The boys are there. They've left me posted. I jump into that car.
What do you mean they've left you posted?
So they ran off because they grabbed money from the front counters and they went. So hence why I had these two blokes standing in the doorway of the vault.
Oh, so they bailed on you?
Yeah, like they just got the money and ran. They were happy, cheering.
They call you in and then they leave you.
They get the money out of the front. I'm doing what I do. I go, yeah, clean.
And they're gone.
And two blokes are standing there. Anyway, I get to the car, even crazier. The car won't start. And I'm
so nervous. Like I'm sweating hearing this story, dude. Okay.
And funnily enough, I wasn't sweating as much. I was just like, start the car, man. Start the car. I look across. It's the petrol's empty. I give the driver a bit of a nudge. Idiot. And
it's empty.
The car's empty. The getaway car is empty. True story. So people that know me, based around Hood Superstar, it's not hard, right? But anyway, the car starts. I go to get out, actually, and my mate's house is like literally, and when I say this, 100 metres across the road. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lap. I'm going to run where people can see me, and then I'm going to come right around the back, come back to my mate's house. And I had this backpack full of money. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to keep this, fuck them, in my head, like, just because I was like, stupidity. Anyway. I go to get out, the car starts, I jump back in. We get to, an area and bloke's speeding, and I'm like, hey, I look back, I'm talking to a person in the back, car's speeding, and all of a sudden highway patrol goes past, and I look at I'm like, bro, he's speeding, slow down. Just as we do that, highway patrol goes past, does a U-turn, and the initial chase was over just us speeding. No. So it was just a whole heap of circumstances that went down that day. And at the time, I actually went, this is fucked, fuck the world, fuck. But realistically, it was the catalyst towards me changing. And I started to sort of shift and change. So I did a lot of courses in custody. I was isolating myself from people. I was having conversations where we're bringing people together, and I was against all the norms of jail. So, and it's very dangerous, very volatile. So
this is this process. It's happened. So how long were you sentenced for at that point?
5 years. I got 5 years for that once. I believe I got 7 years with 5 years on the bottom, which meant if I was a good behaviour, I'd get out at 5 years. If I was bad and bashing people in jail or selling drugs or something of that nature, or, intel reports, you'll serve the whole 7 years and then you get out them.
Okay.
I was released after the 5 years because I'd done a lot of study. And it was funny because I did a lot of it, I'll be honest, to make sure I got out on the 5 years. I want to get out and get back into...
Your intention was just get out of jail.
Let's rock and roll when I get back out. And I'm talking to people, I'm scheming in there. How do you turn alarm systems off? What about cameras?
Oh, you were still planning
putting them
inside.
on loops and this, that and the other. So
so the change hasn't happened yet.
No, like you're still going hard, right? But by doing those courses, I actually started to rewire myself.
What courses were you doing?
I was doing like business studies, Cert 4, diploma of fitness, MYOB, computers.
Oh, wow. You're just studying. You're just like doing it.
And it was all about getting parole on the 5th year and ready to rock and roll, man. Let's make sure I get out, and I want to get back on the streets and start making some money. And I'd never consciously, and no one ever challenged me, what are you going to do with your life? You asked a great question before, and this is a great question for everyone watching. What is the meaning of life to you? So during that journey, I started to write out all these questions. And I was sitting there, and plus I was doing this, I was educating myself. My brain was being stimulated, so I was lifting weights with my brain, education-wise. And I just went, man, and I started to sort of shift a bit. My first child was born, and
while you were inside.
My second child was born by that stage. And I just started to think, your kids are out there, and I started to get somewhat of conscious. What if it was somebody else's kid in the bank? What if it was your kid? And just question, what would you do if it was your kid? Oh, smash them. Well, why is it okay for you to smash them? What about other people's kids? So I started to ask these questions.
Yeah. Do you think that came from the overwhelming amount of time you had?
Absolutely. And I'd say this to everybody, sit with yourself in silence, and the violence in your head will come out on paper. When you journal it, subconscious becomes conscious. When you write it out and you see it, and people go, journaling, bullshit, especially men. But what you do is, as you write it, you go, fuck, that is why I do that.
You know, you follow
and now
Jordan.
You look up the solution to that.
Do you follow Jordan Peterson at all?
Yes, absolutely.
One of the things, I've seen him speak a couple of times.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's been amazing.
I've never seen him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
He's one of the things that he says that I found really fascinating is, as a clinical psychologist, he was saying people don't know how to think.
Absolutely. True story.
So he's like, so my job, really, a lot of what I do is if I can sit there and get them to speak, and then also get them to write, they then come up with the answers to their own problems. But if they can't have that environment, if they need to come to me to do that, then so be it. And I was like, wow, that's actually
crazy,
really profound. This is a clinical psychologist who's teaching you how to think. Speaking and writing
in conferences. If I ever go to a conference, I'm not going to talk for an hour. It's about what work I can help you unleash for yourself in that hour. So people, you get to a lot of these conferences and it's just, here's my PowerPoint presentation, here's the data, here's what happens. And it's not, and I mean that respectfully, great stories, some of those people, but I've learned to actually ask people questions the whole time I'm there. And I've got a bit of a journey, and I can, that's something I've gone into in these long-term programs we do. It's all about them. and getting them to write things out. So when I say, what's your inner peace look like? Recently up in Brisbane, as an example, I had many people cry. And I was like, can I ask, do you mind me asking why you're crying? And they said, I don't know what it looks like, because we just don't know, right? But just go and research, what does inner peace mean? And you could use ChatGPT, right? AI, and say, give me some examples of inner peace. And it might write out and spit out a whole heap of suggestions. And you go, I like sitting by the beach and watching the sun come up, and I'm going to try this journaling. And when you do that, how does it make you feel? And what's come out that you can unpack from your invisible backpack, and what have you learned, grown, and prospered from that experience? Every lesson's a blessing. Your future is in your past, and all of a sudden you're starting to shift and change who you are. And I can't tell you how, like, I went from ultra destructive to ultra constructive.
Yeah.
To the point where these organizations just doesn't that kid with a brick in his hand throwing it at a police car at Redfern. It's polar opposites. To do that, consciousness and being able to challenge the norm of what you accept.
It's like the positive attributes of that kid in Redfern who was committing crimes and living in chaos are, there's definitely a resilience, an exceptional amount of resilience, definitely leadership.
I love what you just did. So people out there, skills audit yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, what skills do you have? I'm fucking resilient.
Yeah,
man.
very resilient. A lot of leadership.
Go-getter.
A lot of initiative.
There was no, I don't even know if entrepreneur was a word back then, but I don't know. Someone could tell me. I looked that up when it came out, but yeah, I just thought I was a go-getter. Okay, if I'm a go-getter, then why can't I go get what I want?
Yeah. And courage, like extreme courage. If you have the courage to rob a bank, if you have the courage to do things that are as high stakes as the things that you went to prison for, then, man, as you were saying before, you got the courage to lose a bit of body fat or to start a new business. But yet these are things that everyday people struggle to find the courage to do.
And I had to do that, being a better father, same thing, and try and be a better father. And to this day, I'm still trying. And it's not always going to go right.
I think it's an endless pursuit. Yeah,
but if I go and say, I'm a shit father, I've effed up and I've made this mistake and all of the above, how will I feel? Even when I'm saying it now, you're sort of saying it with shame and embarrassment, your head's down. Or I can say, what am I learning from each of these experiences? How far have I actually grown with this? How much have I engaged my daughters and son? And then, I'm looking at it through a different perspective. And if this hasn't worked by offering to be this way, let's try another way. Why? Because it's important to me. And if it's important to you, make the time, energy, and effort when you tee off. Tee is your TEE, like golf. When you tee off, your time, energy, and effort in that environment, you're going to remove those emotions, feelings, put new ones in there, whether it's your kids, whether it's your relationships, your financials, your whatever it is that you want in your life, start to work on that and bring that in every single day. And I promise you, life will be different. If not, come knock on my door. Literally.
Yeah. It's making those daily little changes.
Priceless. Absolutely priceless.
So you're starting to have these moments now. You're on your own, you're learning courses, you're thinking about yourself and your life and your place in the world.
Absolutely.
And so you think it was that, was there anything else that really happened for you that shifted you? Because this, you're a true testament to people can change.
Absolutely.
You have clearly changed in the most drastic way.
I just wanted to. It got so painful. And when I say painful, it wasn't someone punched me. It was more the violence in your head, man. Looking over your shoulder for police, I became so paranoid. And, at the end, it was crazy. You went on drugs and you're driving around thinking that, I was walking up to old ladies coming out of my house as they walk by, probably coming back from the local shops. And I'm saying, oh, you're getting better every day. And they're like, oh, thank you, honey. And I was like, you know what I'm talking about. I was thinking it was a New South Wales police force with their new surveillance crew.
Oh, wow. You were just paranoid.
Yeah, and that's there. Then you go to jail, and now you're watching if someone's going to put something in your neck from behind. And then that, got to a level where even in Lithgow jail, my own people at one point in time came in and sort of tried to extort me and ended up in a big fight.
You're in Lithgow jail.
So that jail, for most people that don't know, is shaped like a coffin, and the PO box is 666. So
wow.
It wasn't a jail I wanted to hang around for too long, but many people got carried out of there. Some people never made it out of there. So people got to get the context of the pain didn't become too much to a point where I said enough's enough. It was more like the recognition of that circle and getting locked up, being away from your kids, not being a father. Like these things, some people thought that maybe even my own kids thought, he's full of shit. He's not my father. And they might have thought I never thought about it, but I sat there and I cried every single night. And then walked out of the cell the next morning, and people do the same thing in life. Struggle in your house, nothing in your bank account and your emotional charge account or whatever it is that you've got within yourself, battery-wise, relationships, financials. And we walk out and we'll go, hey, Marky, what's happening? How are you, mate? Yeah, life's good, brother.
All good.
How kicking ass. Oh, good to hear, mate. Good to see you in positive light. And the next day, so-and-so's not here anymore. And I'm like, are you joking? I just spoke. He said everything was cool. Because we project and you become the bank robber, Mark. You pull that mask on and tell everyone bullshit lies about who you are. And that's because we don't work on ourselves enough, so that dis-ease within ourselves ends up in disease, and that mental health becomes a part of your DNA. And that goes on to your next person. And that next person could be your partner, your kids, whatever it is. And I got to that recognition, that 16-year-old kid again, going, fuck this shit. And then same thing, sitting in jail. And then in Melbourne, there was a moment, that really solidified. 3 months in the slot, getting found guilty, having my co-accused not come to court for me. One did say he would come, I'll give him that. The other two said didn't want to mess themselves up for sentencing, and that was the reality. So the sum of the education, all of it, it's like, in a movie, they rewind it and you see all these moments. And I just went, enough's enough, man. Like, I don't want this. I keep telling myself, how do I do that? And I just started to shift and change. I go, wait a second, you got an education, you're around right people, and little things were happening here, there, and everywhere. And I even changed my language. We spoke pure Latin in jail. When we made up this language, no one even knew. Our own crew, it was just, we were from Mars, literally, right? Police would be sitting there going, what the fuck are they talking about? But in general, I just had to shift and change that. And I told the boys, I wish you all the very best. And we came home. They kept going. They got 19 years with 17 years on the bottom for more bank robberies and armour guards.
As soon as they got out.
They served 5 years of that. They've been in and out, I think 3 or 4 different trials. They've got to go back, I believe, next month for another trial. And if they get found guilty, they go back and serve the rest of that sentence. And that's the power of saying yes to yourself and no to somebody else. Know what the roadmap of your life is, your A to B of life, and what you want in between that, where you want to travel to, where you want to live. Do you want kids? Do you not? And when I say where you want to live, what type of house? 2-story, single-story, pool? Like, actually design it. So we just bought a house, and for us to buy that house at that level and to be able to design it our way, podcast room, gym, cinema, we love watching movies. Not only could we have, but if family come over, we'll sit there and watch it together. So those sorts of things within the house, that's a different beast. But I wanted that. And if I want it bad enough, I'll find a way. If I don't, we find that excuse. I've got a little saying, excuses are the nails that built the house of failure. So you got a choice.
Excuses are the
nails that built the house of failure. So you get that choice. And that comes down to who you want to be. And, there's another thing, a good business partner of mine, Big Top, shout out to yourself, this is his, and says you can give the keys to the castle. You can give a clown the keys to the castle, but just because walks into the castle, he's not the king. He turns the castle into a circus, right? And that's basically what we do within our lives. We just accept, I'm going to fit in with, my brother here, and you're behaving a particular way, and maybe you say, let's have a couple of lines of cocaine or something, whatever it is, right, you're doing in your life. And because I want to fit, all right, brother, let's do it. Now I get addicted and I die early, and now you live with that for the rest of your life. And now we say, oh, that's okay, who cares or whatever. But you're living with the grief of you knew that you got that person into that situation. And if you can identify that for yourself and the situation you're in and shift and change it for what emotions, feelings do you want in there, what actions, reactions would it cause, I promise you, it'll happen quicker than you think it will. People think it's a long journey. It's just a committed journey. If you commit to it, within 1 year, you'll be a different beast, period.
It's interesting how powerful the desire for people to fit in and not stand out from that's that tribal mentality. It's Absolutely. So powerful. And as soon as you can observe it and step out of it, that's when I think you can access a lot of that power to go, you know what, I'm going to not be the favorite person in my friend group if I make different decisions to what my friend group is making.
You probably lose your friend group.
Yeah, and that's scary for people.
It's not your friends.
Yes.
You actually gain freedom.
Yeah.
And you unpack that invisible backpack that is heavy, trying to please everybody.
But you have to go through that moment of loneliness where you are outcast from your friend group, and you have to.
I'd even shift that and say it's an opportunity for me to grow in that space, and in between that space, I'm going to meet the right people. Does that make sense? So even shifting the language mid-sentence, going, I'm going to change how I see that.
Yeah,
I've lost everyone. I'm in this loneliness.
Now I'm lonely.
This abyss. I'm technically in
new
abyss,
opportunities.
but that's what it is. I'm embracing new opportunities. And Mark Boris, as an example, big shout out to Marky, love you, mate. To have his number in my phone as an example, kid from Brickset Police Cars, someone who's done really well in business, and be able to have conversations with him around business at points in time. And I'm not saying that he does that for me like on an ongoing basis, but he's open to that. I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't made a better choice. And that means that you have to be strong around saying yes to yourself, no to other people, and showing people that you're of value and there's a conversation you can have and meet in the middle somewhere. And to do that, most, as you said, you're scared of letting go of what makes you comfortable. And as soon as you step out of that comfort, you always hear, get uncomfortable being comfortable. I think get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. But in general, you always hear that. And my biggest thing is, fuck that. Just fucking be you. And there's no greater job on this planet. There's no better investment than yourself. You ain't anybody until you are you. And that means you say, here's what I want. Here's how I'm going to design it. I'm committed to that. And what I found, I didn't have to go and say, oh, look at me, look at what I'm wearing, or have you heard about me? My name's Jeff Morgan, or whatever wanker shit we do. And we all do it. We've all been there, done that. But I just don't need to do it anymore. I just walk and be me. And if you're a good human, love, kindness, empathy, and respect, you treat me right, happy days, son. Treat me wrong, I've got a boundary and I know who I am. That's not what I want within my life, and I still wish you all the best. I actually clap for you, and if you want guidance, more than happy to help. If not, see you later. I wish you all the very best and take care.
It's amazing to me that you had this transformation, right, while in prison, and then were actually putting this into practice with other prisoners.
Crazy. It was a true story.
Like if you can do it in prison with prisoners, true story. Man, you can do it with people who run businesses.
And that's what I identified. I was in Loddon, and the governor called me to the governor's office, and I was like, oh, I'm not fucking going up there. Fuck that. It looks bad too. What are you going in there for? But he actually called me up and I said, he can tell me here, tell him to come down here. I'm not going there. You don't want to go, you don't want the other guys to see you bad, going, you know what I mean? But he said, they said, oh no, he wants to really see you about something. And so I go up there thinking it might be an Aboriginal problem with the Aboriginal inmates. I was a delegate. How could I resolve it best? I don't want to see our boys or anyone get damaged, right, in any way, shape or form. Maybe it was a family situation, someone's died and they want me to be present when an Aboriginal inmate comes in and they tell them. So I go up there and he says, mate, I just wanted to say thank you. I've never seen the jail operate at this level. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, mate, minimal violence, as we barely have fights. So It just got to a level. We ran sporting competitions. So at a unit versus unit, we were giving away barbecues for the winning unit at the end of the month. And I know it sounds like nothing to people out here, but in there, it's just huge. To get a steak, man, like a proper steak that you cook up, and it was huge. So little things like that. And we had all these different things of value, and I was building them around how they, without them even knowing, were becoming better as human beings.
Wow.
And
sneaking that in through the side door.
Mate, even in conversations.
Personal development within.
Yeah, and that's what it was, personal development, right? And I did it because I just wanted to see us all. I knew most people, good people, they're just built wrong.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Give them
they've
an
been trodden on
opportunity.
their whole life.
If you have judgment on somebody, my conversation is, you've got the solution to my problem, why not give it to me? And would that make the community better? Well, why wouldn't you give it to people? It's crazy. It blows my mind. Yeah. So instead of judging people from this point on, sit down with them and say, what have you been through and where did you come from?
Trying to understand them.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't.
Did you see that movie Joker? The one with Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, the last one.
I mean, I think that was a really wonderful example of that, where you watched that guy's story from start to finish, and then by the end of things, he's killing people and it's just anarchy. But I got to say, after seeing that man's story, you go, makes sense. Like, it's such a great way of understanding this person. Now, it didn't end. He didn't do the right thing, but it doesn't justify it, but it is a reason. And you can look at that and go, man, this guy got completely destroyed. He got trodden on. He got belittled at every turn.
And it's funny.
And he popped.
Part 2's coming out. I was just at the cinemas and everyone's clapping him as he's being led into the courts. Oh, yeah. So, like, you look at it and you go, people sort of that understand, and I don't justify things, and I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone in any community. But you got to, the Bondi incident, this kid's got mental health issues. Obviously didn't have the treatment and the care and so forth, and got to a level where it's just exploded, imploded, whatever you want to call it. I'm not saying it's right or justifies it, and I'd be the first person that jumped in.
I don't know what the Bondi incident was.
A lot of people, he just pulled out a knife, started
I'm sorry, I know exactly what you mean. That guy who,
and he had mental health issues, and same thing. It doesn't justify and it's the last thing, my condolences go to every family member. I would have been the first one to run up towards it, and that's the reality because I grew up in that. But that kid, man, like, my thoughts are like far out.
Trying to understand
medication why. And no one normal does that. And I mean that respectfully to his family too. His mother she came out and said, he just needed care, and I think it's hard to do as humans because we just go, F him, he's done this. Yes, and I understand. I understand that too, and for the families out there that are going through that, I wouldn't want that for my family too. So let me clarify that. But what if we got to him earlier?
I completely agree with you.
We might not have had that situation.
I think it's worth more time than we give it trying to understand this dude, and if we can, maybe we can prevent it.
And what would that be worth? And the same thing around domestic violence. When I sit down with men that have been through it, people are like, why are you talking to those people? Say it's in my communities, right? Why are you talking to them? They're a piece of... And look, I'm not saying domestic violence is cool. I don't support it, condone it, but I need to grab this person and role model them into a better choice at the next opportunity, draw a line in the sand, because if I don't, they move from Sydney to Brisbane and no one knows them, they get a job. They met a new girl, and now that person might not be here any longer. So how priceless is that for me to shift and change that individual's life for somebody's family? And we've just got to get out of judgment and into solutions together, more united than ever before. How good would Australia be?
Mate, you did it in prison, which is amazing, within the prisons. So So what changes were you able to make with these folks in prison with you?
Man, like some of those have gone on and changed their life, gotten off ice, gotten off drugs, got their first job ever, finished degrees.
And I guess you're
been
dealing
better
with
fathers, just started businesses. Some of those are millionaires and just insane. And
you're
a lot of that
guys who've got so much time as well, like you had to come to that
use
realization.
Your time well. So stop picking up your phone and worrying about everyone else's life. Just put your phone down and sit with your own life, your own thoughts, journal, see, learn, experience. Wow, that's why I went through that. That's how I can shift that. What's the solution to that? And I promise, like 1 year of that work, you just won't even recognize yourself. I promise you.
Lot can change in a year, man.
Priceless journey.
Jeff, should we wrap it up?
Love that, brother.
Mate,
it's been a pleasure.
There's so much in this podcast.
Part 2 coming soon.
I'm going to have to watch it like 4 times and go, okay, I need to compartmentalize that bit. That's good. That's a good part, you know? There's a lot of wisdom that you have attained throughout your journey, which is a fucking wild ride, man. And good for you for coming out the other side to where you are. You are as I said before, you are the perfect example of people can change. Because my word, have you changed?
If I can, you can. You ain't anybody to you. Go out and design your life, not accept your life. And understand accepting your life is the program of life. Now, if I said that to you and you think about it and you go, program would be X, Y, and Z, then you already know that it exists. That's crazy in itself. Get out of that little mouse treadmill and mess shit up. Your first response, this is the last tip I'll leave you with. Your first response, if it doesn't truly serve you towards the life you want, is the wrong response, which means now I've got to fuck shit up. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to grab that and I'm going to snap kick it, get off the roundabout at a different exit and watch what happens. And when you do it once, if you can do it once, you make $1, you can make $10, $10, $100. If you can do that with your emotions, same principle. Happy days, son. Priceless journey.
It's good stuff, Jeff.
And send me a message. Let me know how you go.
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Appreciate it.
It's been a real pleasure to hang with you, man.
It's been a ride and I look forward to part 2 one day.
Yeah, likewise, dude. Likewise. All right. See you later, everybody. Cheers.